Hello guys, today we are going to talk about this camera here and why I believe this should be the next camera that Lumix should be focusing on if we put aside the S1H Mark II, right? So this is the Panasonic EVA 1. It came out back in November 2017, so I believe even before the FX6 came out, and it didn't sell well for, I believe, many reasons, which we will not go through. But this is a Netflix approved camera. It's mostly like plastic build. So before we actually get into what I believe Lumix should do to bring the second version of this camera, let's just go a little bit briefly into the specs of this camera, because not everyone actually probably knows about the existing of this camera. So this is a Super 35 sensor. It's a 5.7K Super 35 sensor. It can shoot up to 4K 50 or 60p, and it can shoot up to 120 frames per second or 100 frames per second in 2K. And it can shoot external ProRes RAW or B-RAW through the SSD connection port here, the SDI connection port on the back here, and then it has 3mm jack input here. Then here it has basically a DC power if you want. If you turn up this one, you can basically have a host of a USB-A, and then there is some kind of other connection. And then up here you have your SD, you have your HDMI connector. Down here you have two SD card port, which later on we will talk on what the improvement will be. And here we have two XLR inputs, and you can basically buy this handle here, which it's really cool and amazing because it has everything that you need to control the camera in here. Here you have an exit, here you have a menu button and the red recording button, and then you have a scroll wheel here that will allow you to go through the menu. And the menu is one of the most simple menus I've ever seen. I don't even know why Lumix didn't just continue with this menu, because this menu is just, I prefer it so much better. It would be cool if they actually update so that in the switch, when you have photo, you have this old super crowded menu, and then when you switch to video, they just will bring this menu updated with the new features, and it will be so good. In this part here, you basically have all your control panels. So you have, if you want to lock the entire system so that you don't press anything, you have the lock here. Then you have the record, another recording button, ND filter, your iris control if you're using a lens that has electronic built in it. Here basically has a switch where you can switch between ISO and white balance. Here has another scroll wheel to scroll around, and then it has the menu button and all customizable things here that you can basically control. So waveforms, electronics image stabilization, because this don't have IBIS because it's a cinema camera, and it has ND filters and the IR filter inside. So if I decide to turn on, you see something just popped out in. So you can have ND filters inside in combination with this IR filter. Yes, this one has an IR filter built inside, so there's not going to be any type of pollution on the materials that you're wearing, or any type of pollution that people are so much focused on when it comes to the S5 lineup of cameras, which any other company out there has the same issue, but apparently people just focus only on Lumix cameras when it comes to that for some reason. But whatever. This has an IR filter that you can control if you want it on or off from the system, or you can literally just pre-made it here on the customizable button. And then it has no, it has 3 ND filters, so from 0.2 to 1.8 stops of ND filters. So really cool. And yeah, you can control your volume here, and that's pretty much it. And it has a monitor here that for me, it's okay. It works well. But on the handle here, you have threads, you have basically port, like you have everything. If you want to just mount your own monitor, you have threads everywhere on the top here. So it's not even relevant to talk about this monitor here, and everything will be transmitted anyway to the external monitor if you want to use an external monitor. So you can use this one just as a monitor for your settings and stuff, and then you put another monitor and you are set there. But yeah, have I said everything? Yeah, this one you can record internally H.265 and H.264 completely inside, and then you can record all intra 422. It is feature packed and it's Netflix approved. That's pretty much it. And yeah, so what is the way that Lumix can actually improve this? So first thing, sensor, right? Oh shit, sensor is sensor, right? So the sensor that I believe they should just go for is the S1II sensor, right? Because the S1II sensor is the best sensor that Lumix has at the moment. And especially with all these overheating issues that are going to come out or are coming out, which prevented me to actually invest into the camera, because I just don't want to be thinking about it after having that phobia with the Canon R6, right? We all remember those times with the Canon R6 and the Canon R5 when they came out. So yeah, I want to avoid all of that headache of things. So I want Lumix to put out a proper camera with the proper heating management system that will not make me be scared while I'm shooting. I said it, I leave it there. I'm not gonna work with Lumix anymore. I'm gonna leave and bear with that. But this camera is what I believe it will fix all of that, because this has the body, it has a bigger chassis, it has a bigger management, a better management system. So this will be the perfect camera for that sensor, right? And they can actually even push further of what they are doing right now, because this camera can handle all of that heat. Doesn't matter what you put it through, this camera will handle that type of heat. So just imagine shooting 4K 120 here whole day. I don't know why would you do that, but people who want to do that, since they have been doing overheating tests on 4K 60, you can do with this whole day. You put the sensor in here, you give it a better chassis with proper, kind of system. Maybe not this plasticky of a body. It would be better to put something a bit more premium. The button layout and everything, I believe they can just leave it like that, because it's just simple, it's just beautiful. There's nothing they need to fix. The handle, they can just maybe a little bit better material, because this has plastic, basically it's a plastic. And everything else, they can just leave it as it is by giving us 32-bit float in these ports. That would be amazing. But here, memory cards, I believe they would just have to update them to probably the CFS-B cards, and people will probably be happier with that, especially you will need that anyway. And if they manage to even push more the open gate, instead of having the 5.1K 60, we can have a full 6K. I don't know if it's a limitation based on the sensor, but hey, dreaming is not impossible and it's free, so let's just get it out there. So that would be super cool to have, right? And to even have even more, Open gate 4K up to 120 frames per second. Probably impossible because the sensor is fast, but not as fast to be able to do that. But I don't know, a 3K 120 frames per second. I think that is possible, right? So at least there is kind of an option there to have 120 frames per second. So what do you guys think that Lumix could actually do potentially if they release an EVA 2, right? Because especially me, that I'm thinking of moving into a country that is going to be a whole year hot environment, camera like this will suit me better. I have the S5 Mark II-X, which it will suit me perfectly. I haven't been in those countries yet with the S5 Mark II-X, but I shouldn't have any problem because it doesn't have that much of pushing into, the whole body system and the hardware and the firmware and stuff. So it might not overheat, but with this, I can shoot the whole day a wedding without worrying about it, right? So what do you think? What should Lumix do? How could Lumix create the next, EVA 2? What is your point of view? What is your wish, right? Because my wish is what I just said. What is yours? Take good care of yourself. Hope you liked it. Comment down below, like, share. I don't know if people share YouTube videos, but if you want to, you can do it. Thank you for sticking here with me and to listening to me blubbering and talking about everything and nothing. I'm going to see you in the next one. Take good care of yourself.